Hey, how y'all doing? Got something I want to share with you. It's something for you to think about. And please excuse the heater blasting there in the background trying to get Garage Baptist warmed up today. So 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse number 6. I want to read most of the verse here. And I'm cutting off where I am for a very specific purpose, which we'll get to in a moment. And this is picking up right here after the Amalekites have attacked Ziklag. And everybody's family has been taken prisoner. All of their stuff has been stolen. The city's been destroyed. And David and his men have returned from being kicked out of the Philistine army to find all of this happened here. And nobody is thrilled. So verse number 6. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, it was bitter, every man for his sons and for his daughters. Now, what has taken place here is that something's happened they don't like, and they've decided we're going to blame David. This is David's fault. Whether it was David's fault or not, they were blaming David. Last time I checked, they all had a free choice, and they could have easily decided, hey, you know what? We're not going to follow David and try to hook up with the Philistine army. They made the same choice David did. Okay? But what happened is, they got bitter taste in their mouth from what that previous experience, getting kicked out of the Philistine army. They come home and they've gotten another bitter taste because their family has all been taken away, and they're looking for someone to blame. And David's the man. The buck stops here. Now, how does that relate to us, church? Since we're not off fighting physical battles, being kicked out of someone else's army and all the other good stuff there. We get into situations in our local assemblies, in our local churches. There are cliques. Anyone who tells you there is not a clique in their church, pardon my French, but they're a fool. There are cliques in churches, okay? It's the nature of the beast, because human beings are involved, okay? Now, what happens? A lot of people don't intend to be mean. Most people, and it is the farthest thing from their minds. But something happens. Someone rubs somebody the wrong way. We're human beings, okay? We still got our robe of flesh that we are wearing. We don't want to, but we're still human beings, okay? I can't stress that enough. So, what happens is someone gets their feelings hurt, and they express those feelings. Whether they realize it or not, they start leading their clique in a certain direction about that certain person there, because they're not thrilled with what all's going on. And people get their feelings hurt even more. Other people get their feelings hurt. You end up where there are times when, in actuality, people leave the church because they're tired of being stepped on. They're tired of being ignored. They're tired of essentially being run out, whether anybody whatsoever, from the pastor on down to the person who sits on the very back pew, realizes it. They've run them out. And not all the time do they go back and join up with another local assembly. Sometimes they just get out of church altogether. And you know, we have this nice, cute little saying about, when you start missing church, you end up not missing church, and all the other variants of that, how that goes there. And because we're holier than thou at times, we start, well, if they just get back into church, things, be worked out and all that, and they shouldn't have left the church, they shouldn't have gotten off into sin. And that is so true so often. But we miss that occasionally it's the brethren or the sister, and or sisters, however you want to put that. We've actually done it to ourselves. The Christian army is the only army in the world that shoots its own wounded. We'll say, hey, we're out there looking for the wounded so that we can help them. But because they're not the wounded we're interested in, we step all over them trying to get to the wounded that we do want to get to. Try to get to the people who ain't wounded, but they can help us. And we end up starting to do like David's own men did. We've turned on the ones that we're supposed to be there for. I mean, these 600 men here, they went to David originally. Hey, you're the one who can help us. They went to David and followed him in the battle time and time again. They followed him to join up with the Philistine army there. But now their hearts are turned because something has happened that they didn't like. And in the heat of the moment, they got mad at him. In the heat of the moment, we get mad at people. In the heat of the moment, we get our feelings hurt. In the heat of the moment, we say something stupid. Okay, pardon my French again. Because we're human. And a lot of times we need to stop blaming the victims for what happened to them. Now, David was just as much of a victim of what took place here as the rest of these men. And he needed some words of encouragement. He needed some support. Instead of saying, David, this is all your fault, you brought this on yourself, they needed to go to David and say, hey, David, we're in this together. Which they were. Which ends up leading to David by himself encouraging himself in the Lord, because no one else was coming along with him. Oh, I'm sure there was a couple of people, they were coming along with some words of wisdom, some little things they've picked up from reading books or talking to people, their experience and all that, and not even realizing that what they're saying ain't getting through because they're not able to present it the way that it needs to be presented. Maybe someone else came along, just David sitting there, oh, woe is me, oh, my family, and someone, just happened to mention Samuel. Think about that for a moment. Oh, if Samuel were only here, and David hears Samuel, it's like, Samuel, man of the Lord, I got to get back to the Lord. And David's, that's it, I got to get back to God. If God is my strength, I will lift my eyes unto the hills from whence cometh my help, and I'm going to trust in God. And next thing you know, David is all excited. David is whooping and hollering, and David is ready to go charge the gates of hell with a water pistol because David has encouraged himself in the Lord. And when we stop trying to lay blame, when we stop ignoring the wounded and we start encouraging ourselves in the Lord and we start encouraging them in the Lord as well, instead of saying, hey, you just need to get back into church, and we actually do something to encourage them to get back into church instead of just using words, man, we can see some results. We can, wow, this is real. This is legit. God can do something here. But it's going to have to start with us stop victim blaming. It's going to have to start with us stopping this business of, well, they're not in my clique. Oh, they're not my type of preacher. Oh, they're not my type of Sunday school teacher. Oh, they're not my type of lay person. And we get back to, that's my brother. That's my sister. Their family means just as much to God as my family does. We can start coming together, because you know what? That's what hell fears. That's what Satan is most concerned about, is Christians getting together. Because his plan of attack is to divide and conquer. And if he's got to do it piecemeal, one here, one there, one at a time, he'll do it. If he can break off a whole chunk, such as, getting the whole family unit out of church, he'll do it. Oh, yeah, he'll do it. But when we come together, we're going to start seeing some results. Now, is everybody going to come along? Is everybody going to do right? Well, you continue reading there in that story, and they get so far along, and there's a couple of hundred men. They've got to stop and just stay with the stuff because they're too tired. But you still got others, though, that after David got encouraged by encouraging himself there in the Lord, they caught it too, and they started going with David as well. Yeah, we might have to leave some people behind. Yeah, maybe we do actually have to leave the local assembly and go to a different church. But the fact of the matter is, we need to continue to encourage ourselves in the Lord, encourage one another in the Lord. Because if you think that David encouraged himself in the Lord and that was it, he's like, I'm on fire for God, I'm going to go hunt these Amalekites down, and that was it, and he got on his horse and he started riding off, and everybody else said, well, nothing else to do here, we might as well go follow him. You're crazy. David encouraged himself in the Lord, and once you get encouraged in the Lord, you start passing out that encouragement to others as well. Yeah, like I said, not everybody's going to go along with you. Some are going to run out of encouragement faster than others. But when we stop sitting here trying to victim blame, we stop sitting here trying to push people out of the way, we stop sitting here saying, I've got to get my blessing and I'm going to step all over you to do it, and we start operating the way God wants us to, we are going to see some positive, phenomenal results. But only if we opt to do it God's way. Let me read that whole verse there, 1 Samuel 30, verse 6. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his sons and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Is he your God? Is he your Lord? Because if he is, that means we got to be coming together. We got to start coming and doing things God's way. Together, not infighting. That's something for you to think about.